to learn what purpose looks like for myself. And I'm so happy that I'm at this place in my life where I have solace. I'm okay with pursuing what life looks like by myself. Because again, for the longest amount of time, I didn't know who I was as an individual outside of being a wife. Welcome back to the Kenya Monique channel. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this particular video. This one is one that's a little bit difficult. If I'm honest, I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to make it just because it is so soul bearing. I want to give you guys more insight in terms of who I am as an individual, and I want us to grow together. And so if you guys do not know who I am, my name is Kenya Monique. I currently live in Los Angeles, California, and I have gone through a divorce. So I am going to be talking to you guys about 10 things that I've learned as a result of going through my divorce. Come closer, and let's get into it. So the first thing that I have learned as a result of going through a divorce is the importance of your own self-care and prioritizing your well-being. Now, what I mean by that is when you're going through a divorce or any kind of hard breakup, as you know, there are a gamut of emotions that you go through, like a range of emotions that you go through from one day to the next. One day you may be feeling good, you know. The next day you may be sad. The next day you may feel an extreme amount of grief. The day after that, you could feel like you're falling into a depressed state. The day after that, you could become angry. And what I've learned that's best to do is to prioritize your self-care and your well-being. So for myself, that I did was going to go get a mani and a pedi, getting a facial or doing a facial on myself, having a marathon movie day, where you just binge watch all of your favorite movies. They could be rom-coms, they could be comedies, they could be action movies. Get you a nice big box of popcorn and a box of, I don't know, ice cream or something like that, like your feel-good foods. And just have a self-care day. The thing is when you're walking through a divorce, all of the emotions that you are feeling are pulling on you, and they want you to pay attention to them. And they're there for a reason. We're supposed to learn how to work through those feelings. And when you do feel them, you want to make sure that you lean into them. Give grief what it needs. Work through the different layers of grief so that you can learn from it and get on the other side of it, and you're not spewing hurt in your next relationship. But as a result of always feeling so emotionally depleted, because your body is literally going through a tearing away of two people that had learned how to join as one once upon a time, then it's important that you pour back into yourself. So for me, going to get a mani and a pedi or a facial is what I deem as self-care. For you, it may be reading a book. It may be riding a bike, going hiking, talking to your friends and family. But nonetheless, what makes you feel good? What makes you smile? What makes you feel comforted? What makes your heart smile? What fills you up? Answer that, and whatever that thing is what your self-care is. And that's what you want to make sure that you implement during this time while you're walking through your divorce. The second thing that I've learned is that communication is key in maintaining a healthy relationship. Now listen, y'all, listen. Communication is one of the fundamentals and one of the foundations in any relationship, right? But when I tell y'all that it is so essential in marriage, it's like the air that you breathe in marriage, okay? It's vital to the marriage. And anytime that there's a breakdown in communication, you better believe dissension is right around the corner. You better believe frustration is right around the corner. Angst, anxiety, resentment, and unforgiveness is right around the corner. And the reason is because the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they be agreed? But how can you come in agreement or alignment if you don't communicate? So one of the things that I learned is no matter what you're feeling or when you're feeling it, you want to find a very healthy way to display your emotions and to communicate your emotions. So that's the thing. When you're talking about doing life with someone, listen, marriage is about until death do you part. Whatever you may feel offended by, whatever has hurt you, whatever caused you to become angry, like I said, in the most healthiest way, you want to make sure that you pray about it and that you call attention to it. Because the worst thing that you can do is to allow that thing to fester and it turn into unforgiveness and resentment. So the third thing that I learned as a result of walking through my divorce is that red flags are crucial to pay attention to. You want to make sure that you call attention to it, again, in the most healthiest way possible, because a red flag is something different. Like, it's so much greater than just, oh, we're not communicating effectively, and as a result of that, we're not connected in this area. A red flag, more than likely, is something that's hitting on the very fiber of your being. It's conflicting with the way that you do life and what causes you to be comfortable and happy in life. And that red flag cannot be ignored, because there is no the two coming together and walking in agreement if a red flag is in the picture. So red flags obviously cause dissension as well in marriage. And so red flags doesn't necessarily mean that you walk away from the marriage or that you walk away from the relationship. It just means that it's time to call attention to it. It's time to address it, and it's time to talk it out or walk it out. Again, red flags most times are an integral issue and a morality issue. Therefore, there is no way in the world that two people can walk in connectedness and become one within their union with a red flag in the picture. Okay, so the fourth thing that I've learned is to let go of bitterness and resentment for your own happiness. Now, the reason why this is so important is because, as you know, marriage is no walk in the park. In my opinion, the only handbook that we have to do marriage right is the Bible. Marriage is a ministry, and marriage is your first priority. You know, an image that we have is the same exact image that God gave us with Jesus Christ and his bridegroom, which is the church. And so the same way that Jesus laid down his life for us is the same way that God has called for the husband to lay down his life for his spouse. Because the relationship with Jesus Christ and the church is a type and shadow of what marriage looks like, it's imperative that we have a desire to do marriage in the same way. And so the closeness that we feel with God is the same level of closeness that we should desire to feel with our spouse. So the fifth thing that I learned as a result of working through divorce is that it is okay to ask for help. The same way that God says he'll never leave us nor forsake us, he'll be with us until the ends of the earth. And so therefore, whatever it is that we go through in marriage, listen, we got to figure it out. We got to learn how to fight it out. Like, spiritually fight it out, and also, mentally and physically with our words. Work that thing out. And the thing is we don't know what we don't know. So it's okay for us to ask for help. So help looks like going to your elders within the church. Help looks like going to a trusted couple that has been married, or that does life and that does marriage in a way that the both of you guys admire. I guarantee that they'll probably talk to you about the fact that they went through the same exact thing during year 5, 7, or 10 or something like that. And they'll give you tools on how they worked through it. If the advice that they have given you guys don't work, go to counseling. Listen, these are licensed professionals that have gone to school and have become the subject matter experts in their field to be able to help individuals such as us through life. Not knowing is okay, but sitting in ignorance is not okay. If you're going to get to the other side of your pain and you're going to get to until death do you part, then you're going to have to ask for help in your marriage. Flat out, it just is what it is. The fifth thing that I've learned as a result of going through a divorce is that it is 100% possible to move on after a difficult change or a difficult season in your life. And it is 100% possible to find joy on the other side of that. Listen, when I was married, I loved being a wife, y'all. But the thing is I didn't know who I was outside of being a wife. I loved all of the wifely duties that came along with being a wife. I loved covering my husband in prayer. I loved praying with my husband. I loved the fact that my former spouse was my purpose partner, y'all. Like, it wasn't just about coming home to each other and having fun with each other, and then later on in life having babies, and then later on after that having grandchildren. It wasn't just about that for us. It was literally about turning the kingdom of darkness on its head, like wreaking havoc in the kingdom of darkness. As a child of the Most High God, we made it a point to make the devil mad in our marriage. And so for us, what that looks like was getting involved in youth ministry. It looked like putting out content that the youth would be able to receive encouragement from, that people, period, would be able to receive encouragement from. It also looks like whomever it was that we touched or that we came across, that we were an extension of God's grace and love in their life. And this was serious for us, y'all. It was what our purpose was as individuals before we came together. And so it made it so much more greater for us to be able to operate in that same thing. But going through this season helps me to understand and to look at and to realize the things that I enjoy about myself and the things that I add to other people's lives by myself. I'm a woman of integrity. I'm a woman of respect. I'm a woman of strong morals. I'm a woman of strong character. I'm a woman of elegance and grace. And I'm a woman that likes to hold other people accountable to who they are as an individual and to also what they say that they're going to do. It's helping me to see the many possibilities that can happen as a result of knowing who I am and being rooted and grounded in who I am, and also standing firm on my beliefs. So the seventh thing that this has taught me is to embrace new challenges and embrace moving on. Sometimes we get stuck, right? We don't know how to move on from a past relationship, a past job, a past situation, a past whatever it may be, fill in the blank. A lot of the times we don't know how to move on from those feelings of bliss. Sometimes we don't even know how to move on from the hurt because we're scared of what success may even look like. It's imperative for us to move past that place of pain, or to move past the now and understand that God has a greater purpose for our lives. And now is not where your story ends. There's so much more that God has for you. But you have to move through the pain, work through the pain so that you can discover what's next. So the eighth thing that I've learned is discovering my own strength and resilience during times of adversity. Now, obviously, we don't foresee ourselves going through something like a divorce, right? And when it first happens, we don't know how we're going to respond. We don't know where we just don't know. There's a lot that we don't know. So many perilous questions that we have in our minds. But what this opportunity gives us the chance to do is to climb above it all. The opportunity to rise and the opportunity to overcome a challenge that we would have never foresaw coming or going through in our lives. And so I've learned how strong I am. I've learned how resilient I am. I've learned that if I can go through a divorce, then baby, I can go through anything. Like if I can work through that thing, and come out healthy and healed and whole on the other side, I can go through anything. Like, a breakup ain't nothing now. Please trust and believe that. And I hate to say it that way because I'm not celebrating divorce, but I'm just saying divorce is tough. And when you work through something like that, because there are a myriad of emotions that's tied to it, then if you do the work in the way that you're supposed to, then it really does set you up to be able to handle the hard things in life later on. Because if you're doing your work, if you're doing your shadowing work, and if you're doing your journaling and praying and fasting and unpacking your issues and going to counseling and getting your therapy in and all the things, like if you're doing those things to move through your pain, then anything in the future that looks similar to that, it's going to be like a walk in the park to work through. So all I'm saying is embrace where you are right now, accept where you are right now, and also do the work. Because if you do the work now, then it makes it easier for you to move through your pain even later on in the future. So the ninth thing is that going through a divorce has taught me to reflect on what I really want and really need in future relationships. And all of that is as a result of who I am as an individual. Like, if I didn't take the time out to do the work and to find out who I am, the gifts that I possess, the talents that I bring to the table, my value add to any relationship that I enter into, where I am at this stage in my life, if I didn't take the time to discover those things and I didn't know who I was, then I wouldn't know what I want from someone else in a partner. And so I realized that a lot of the things that I dealt with in my former marriage are things that I would have never dealt with had I really known who I was. But I mean, hey, I was in my early 20s when I got married. I thought I knew, that season was what it was. It was good for what it was until it wasn't anymore. But nonetheless, I know what I want now. And listen, I'm not budging on it at all because I know what will cause me to become extremely resentful if I end up with a partner that does not meet my needs. And then I also know what's going to cause me to grow within myself and to grow in life and to also grow within relationship. And essentially, I'm looking for a purpose partner with strong integrity. A man of truth, a man of God, a man that's about his business, and a man that's about his purpose. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm just not willing to bend on that. So, and the reason that I can call that out so quickly is because that's who I am. That's what I operate in. And I refuse to accept anything less than that. So the last thing that I want to leave you with that I've learned is that it's important to lean on your community because they're the ones that will remind you of who you are during times in which you thought you forgot. They'll pour into you. They'll lift you up. They'll pray for you. They'll carry your burdens. And there'll be more to you during times of despair than really you have the capacity to be for yourself. So lean on your community, lean on your family members, lean on your friends, and really just let them love on you. Because when you're working through something as devastating as a divorce, you need all the love that you can get. Oh my gosh. Like every second of every day, you need love. Like LL Cool J says, I need love. So just let your community love on you and let them empower you and let them pour into you. And know that this is just a season. It's not going to last always. You will get through it. You will get to the other side. And as a result, you'll be much stronger. You'll be wiser. And you'll know what you want in the future. So I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I so appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. Again, if there are any other topics that you want to hear from me as it pertains to working through divorce or hurt or any kind of transitional season that you may find yourself in, go ahead and drop a comment down below and let me know. And if I'm knowledgeable about that topic, then I'll talk about it. But what do you guys think? Let me know if these are some of the things that you also implemented or that you also learned while working through a divorce, an unfortunate divorce, or working through a breakup. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video, and until next time, y'all. Mwah. Bye.